I'll call
It's
this meeting
Tuesday
to
Night
order.
Live!
My glasses are fogging up. I'll call this meeting to order. It's April 14th, 6 o'clock, Waldeboro Select Board. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We've got Clint on the phone, Clint Collmore. He's at home. And I believe he's well. Is that right, Clint?
I'm well.
Okay, good. First item of business is public hearings. We have 3 of them. Is there a motion to hold a public hearing? We'll just, that's a motion, yep, Clint has made the motion to hold the hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Katie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This one concerns a liquor license renewal for Leslie Krause Incorporated, DBA Leslie Krause, DBA Riverside. And this is the billiard thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's next to the fitness center.
Yep. Are there any, we don't have any reports from the police. This is as clean as.
It's clean.
Yes, yeah. Is there any discussion on this application?
Nope, not for me.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. And is there a motion to act on the liquor license?
So move.
We have to slow down a little bit
Okay,
because there's a lag time.
thank you. All right, so Clint has made a motion to act on the application for license renewal for Riverside Billiards.
Second?
There's a second from Katie. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Aye.
And you got it, was that a yes from you, Clint?
Yes.
Okay, 5-0. Is there a motion to open a second public hearing concerning liquor license renewal for Gary C. Hall, DBA Captain's Fresh Idea?
I would move that.
Is there a second?
Very bad.
Second.
Okay, Jan seconded, Clint made the motion. Is all in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
We're open.
We gotta just wait like 2 minutes.
Are we still catching up?
It's not exactly live.
There's a 10-second delay for
Okay.
each one. So I will be watching to see if there's any comments, but just keep in mind, someone may say, wait, can I say something?
Just tell me to be quiet.
Just stretch out your discussion, I
Yep.
guess.
No, fair enough. Okay. So I guess we're asking for public comment concerning this application?
The last vote is just on there now.
Oh, it is, okay.
I'm missing a C in Rebecca.
There's a 10-second delay.
I feel very sad about the business.
I will be watching
Very sad indeed.
comments, but just keep in mind, someone may say, wait, can I say something? Yeah, there I am.
Well done, Max.
I'm glad I just got this going, like, right off the bat, you know, it's not a 30-minute wait or anything. I got it ready at the meeting start.
So,
What I like is on YouTube, we appear so much smaller.
Oh,
You do.
We really do. I look like I lost like 50 pounds. I'm really excited about that.
so are we caught up?
Yeah, we are caught up.
Okay,
You can close the public session.
so we have moved
Hearing.
to open the public hearing about the application for license renewal for Captain's Fresh Idea. We're inviting comments from the public concerning this application. And I'll wait until Max tells me that nobody's chiming in here.
I mean, there's also just 2 people watching apparently, and one of them's right over there.
Oh, really? Okay. So we have one person watching. All right. So I'll go ahead. Yeah, what I'm hearing is the feedback from what's been recorded. Okay.
You're still there?
We're here.
Yeah, we're here.
I can hear Julie very clear. Yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we comment, Max?
Can't comment?
No, you should be able to comment on the live chat. Or is
But they have to type in their question.
yeah, it has to go.
Oh, yeah.
For you,
Yeah.
it would be. I don't know why you can't do it on the chat. Should be a chat option down here, but it's not coming up.
Okay,
Oh.
it's okay. Maybe you have to start the chat.
No, I'm in the chat.
Okay. Whoever is watching, if you could just type something to Max, that would be great. Yeah, we're good to go now.
All right, so we've opened the public hearing on Captain's Fresh Idea. We're in the public comment stage. Are there any comments from the public concerning this application for a liquor license renewal?
Well, I got my hand up. I just want to say I know the people, and I feel really sad about their business.
And
It
we all
is.
feel the same way, I
Yeah.
think, Clint. Terrible to
Yeah.
have that huge fire.
I looked at it today. It's just devastating.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Okay, there being no public comments, is there a motion to close the hearing?
Make motion?
Katie's moved to close the hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Jan has seconded. All in favor? Hearing is
Aye.
closed. I'll wait a second for us to catch up.
And I'll just quickly take this time to say that Alex from Lincoln County News did just type in test, so people can comment in the chat. It might just be your.
I'm gonna update my app.
Probably.
It figures it's Alex. He's amazing.
Yep.
Okay. So I think we're ready to act on the liquor license. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Jan's moved to approve it. Is there a second?
Clint, second.
Katie?
Clint.
Clint seconded. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0, including Clint's positive vote. And then we have a public hearing on the shellfish ordinance. Is there a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Clint moved, is there a second?
Second.
Katie
Second.
seconded. All in favor of opening the hearing?
Aye.
All right, I'll wait for just a second for us to catch up. Can you tell?
Yeah, I just got Julie's message in the chat.
Oh, you sent her a message, sent her a message.
I just wanted to let him know I'm watching now.
Okay, good.
It was because I wasn't in an app.
Ah,
I was off the internet.
are we caught up, Max?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So I think it's appropriate that Abden talk a little bit about this shellfish ordinance.
Yep, the Shellfish Committee, with all the conservation programs, projects we've been doing, and with the new upwellers potentially going in the river, we've had issues in the past with some of the projects we've been doing, being disturbed, molested, whatever you want to call it. And we wanted to have if somebody was caught doing such things as destroying or taking stuff that the Shellfish Committee and the diggers have done for projects, to be punished. Well, we don't have, how do we put it, court power. We have power within our ordinance to make those decisions as far as punishments for the people that do these activities. And they were to, you wouldn't be allowed to have a license in the town of Waldeboro if you did do this, if you were found guilty and convicted. So that was a big part of it. I think that's basically what it was, is just to have protection for those conservation programs that we do.
And I think when this was discussed at your shellfish committee meeting, It was the guys.
It was the harvesters, it was actually the harvesters that said that we was talking at a 5-year or a possible 10-year suspension, and they said, well, if they've messed with our gear and stuff that we've put money and projects and our time in, we want them gone, period. So, and that's what the committee decided to do.
There were 4 in attendance that night, 4 harvesters that were very vocal.
Yep. So guys are starting to take pride in some of the projects we're doing and really responding to it, and they don't want somebody to mess up what they've put in for effort, so. Yep.
Okay. Are there any other comments concerning the shellfish
I would
ordinance?
like to say that at our last, the seeding event over in Flanders, I talked with 7 diggers when I first got there, and their first question was, did we do anything with this? And I said, we had just acted on this past week. We've got to have a formal vote on it. And Bubba Polino, who at least Abby knows,
Yep.
him and his group's quite, they're quite loud, and they was very happy that we moved on that.
Good. Okay. Any other comments? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Clint, second, Abden seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so what we need is a motion to put this shellfish ordinance on the warrant.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, Clint moved, Jan seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, we have an aye from Clint, makes it 5-0. Okay. Are you ready are we caught up yet, Max?
Yep.
Pretty much?
I mean, the 10-second delay, but there's been no comments. So.
Okay, good. Do you want to talk about your transportation survey?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. So, I got the results back for the public transportation survey. Or just a quick reminder for those who are not aware, this was a very broad first step just for the purpose, gather feedback for a potential service to transport residents of Waldeboro to locations in the mid-coast. This was funded by the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission with a $2,000 grant from their Assistance to Know-How program. And so far, I will still have to look through the numbers, but I believe we're still within the budget. We're under the 2,000, so we have not gone over. Hooray. The deadline for this was on March 20th. I did still get some surveys back. Those I'm not counting for this, but for the over 2,600 we got back, the 2,600 we sent out, we got 505 back. That's nearly a 20% response rate, which was, I think, double from what I was expecting.
It's really high.
Yeah, it was a very positive turnout, I'd say. So what I wanted to know from the survey is what a best case scenario would be if such a service would exist. What possible route could there be in Waldeboro to go from point A to point B? There could be some stops along the way, but what's the one way that people would likely use and what fees they would be paying as well? We're not committing to anything. This is just more of a survey. This isn't, there's no, I'm not asking you for money right now. I'm not saying anything like that. This is just more of some numbers to have in the background if there was ever a question. And from what I won't go through the whole survey because I didn't have enough time to put down a PowerPoint presentation, and I also don't know don't want to hold you guys here all night. So I'll just get to the more quick points about it. Just going through the surveys, it seems like most people, when responding, one thing I did want to know was the destination, which town people go out of Waldeboro for. I imagined it would have been the Twin Village area, Damerscott and Newcastle. But looking at the results, of the 505 surveys, 418 would go to Damerscott and Newcastle, but 404 would be going to Rockland. So that's actually like a 1-2% difference for responses. That's actually something I wasn't expecting. I was expecting maybe a 60-40 split, or not 60-40 split, but I was expecting a bigger gap is what I was saying. But when considering that, Thomaston actually came in as the 3rd highest requested place with 202 responses. Bit of a drop. And when looking at the stops that people would want to go to, it seemed to mostly be, let me just make sure I got it. For Damerscott, the most requests came in as grocery stores. I had to be a bit broad with this category because Damerscott has 2, arguably 3 different places you can get groceries. There's the Main Street Grocery and Rising Tide Co-op. There's the Hannaford, that's closer to the McDonald's, and then there's in downtown a butcher shop, fish store, so it's hard for me to say which one. But I think with 2 votes separating it, the downtown Damerscott was the next highest one, with Miles Campus being the 3rd highest, but with 30 fewer votes. And then with Rockland, the highest one was something I was expecting. It was Walmart, technically not in Rockland, but it received 55 votes for anyone who was saying where would you want to have a stop, with the downtown having 38 votes. And with Waldoboro, the Hannafords over here and the library and post office received 72 votes and 62 votes respectively. So just as a summary, it seems like the need is more focused on a shopping and medical purpose type service, whether it's just going from the downtown here in Waldoboro, if it's a bus to the Damerscott, but more of a shuttle from Waldoboro to Rockland, because I see with that only going to Walmart, since there doesn't seem to be too much interest for the downtown. Any questions so far? Bob?
Yeah, the survey indicated that 473 people who responded of that 505 actually have cars.
Yes.
Why are they interested in the service? I know you can't answer that question based on the feedback you've gotten at this point, but if we explore this further, I would really love to see an answer to that question.
So, one of the questions that I didn't include in the survey, which I, in hindsight, or if I had another survey, I wish I could put it in, is knowing the location people have, like where people live in town, because I'm interested in what people who said yes, they would use the service where they live in town versus where people who say they wouldn't use it where they live in town. And the reason I say that is because I don't know what type of there's no stops that I was giving, there's no fee I was giving. This was all just people giving their own assumptions. So some people probably think it's a pickup service where a bus is just going to go all around town and pick someone up and take them wherever they want, sort of like a taxi or an Uber. Some people probably knew it was going to be a bus coming to very set stops, but the stops really could be anywhere. So that's what I'm curious about. With the cars you were talking about, there were, I think, 34 people who stated that they wouldn't really need to use the service right now, but they are getting older, they're not really able to trust themselves driving, and they would like this in the future. And if that is an actual concern, it is better to start planning now rather than trying to catch up later. And the other thing is this was an anonymous survey. So, and a lot of people I think were more encouraged to do the survey because they didn't feel any pressure about sort of outing themselves. And providing an email or contact information was an optional thing in the survey, but I'm not really going to make that public. I'm just going to release the Excel sheet that just says whether someone gave a piece of contact information. I'm going to withhold that just because some people probably don't want that to be public knowledge.
Right.
Was there a favorite time that people would use this?
Actually, that got tied for first. I think, yes. So, The times were broken up into 3 different categories. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the actual day, and then mornings, which were considered 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., afternoon, which was 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., and then evening, 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. I figured I wasn't going to get any responses for 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. for people leaving their homes, but I shouldn't be saying such. I shouldn't be making such an assumption. Tied for first with exactly 194 each. Monday and Tuesday in the morning got the most, and second and third was Wednesday in the morning and then Thursday in the morning. There was a lot of heavy favoritism for mornings, and I do have it broken down where the mornings always cracks 100, with the lowest one being Sunday morning with 106, whereas in the afternoon there's about a 33% drop, where the highest one was Wednesday afternoon with 126 votes, and Sunday had the lowest with 99 votes. And then evenings, with the exception of Friday and Saturday, everything was under 50. So there was always a drop the later the day kept going. So if there was a service, it would likely have to be an early morning to mid-afternoon.
So we have morning people.
Yeah, and again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I would like to know, it seems like people were mostly doing it for groceries and errands or for work. I did want to break it down even further just to see what people who said yes to whether they would use the service when they would leave, because that's going to have a bit more of a different answer, I would say. I would need a bit more time on that, since that was something I didn't really realize until I was getting the presentation ready.
It would have been interesting too, to see what the demographic is, whether there's an age connection to usage rates and times.
I think I can only really piece together what I got from some comments, such as the now comments where people were saying, I'm 70, I'm 80, I'm driving now, but I am starting to lose it a bit. I can't really trust myself to drive. I may need someone else to drive me. And I think I had a few other people who said, we do have a car, but we share it amongst 2 or 3 people.
Oh yeah.
And personally, that struck some personal chord with me, because that was actually how I kind of started out here. My parents had to, bless them, give me the car for the summer so I could do my internship, and that's what sort of developed into me working here. So I kind of understand what those people were going through.
Yep.
Be interesting to see how many would use this for work.
That was actually one of the questions. When people go outside, what they do it for. One of the things was work, and that was the 3rd highest. I don't think people are specifically planning to use it for work, though. I think if I'm going based on the answers, it seems to be more of either an errand shopping type thing, going to the grocery store, going to Rennie's, going to Walmart, or they would use it to go to restaurants or some type of shopping thing in a downtown area where parking is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
But that's more of my assumption.
Okay.
And for a fee, everyone, the most common answer, as well as the median response, was $5 pretty much across the board, except for Waldeboro. That was for $3.
Was that for a round trip or one way?
Some people did say one way, and some people said 2 ways.
Okay.
Hard for me to really go through every single end piece and see what the results are. But it was mostly just one-way tickets.
And I think in your commentary, you'd indicated that if something we did here could tie into services in Rockland perhaps, or services south of us on Midcoast, if a demand were to materialize?
Yes. So I was starting the survey back in September, just to start it and see if there was actual interest. And around December, I think, before I was getting the final approval, I went to Waldo Community Action Program just to ask them, you do run a dash service for Rockland. These are the questions I'm planning on asking, or these type of questions you would consider. And I didn't even know this. They showed me a presentation where they were planning to do an expansion of their service in Lincoln County. This was something that I wasn't really expecting, so they may be interested in these results.
Yeah.
And hopefully that would be good. And that was part of my suggestions where Waldoboro, with how big it is, how sparsely populated it is, and how much it costs to even start transportation from the ground up, probably not the best if we do it alone. We would need a partner, and even then, that's something that, that's why I wanted the test run, to get the very basic, bare minimum route that would likely yield the most results. Because from what I'm gathering, it's Waldoboro downtown, maybe the library as a stop, to the Hannaford, and then to Damerscott. If that doesn't really pick up, even if it's a quick 1-2 month test run and not that many people take it, then I'll be the first to say, don't do transportation, don't do this bus service.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Let me check the live chat to make sure.
I'm checking it.
Oh, thank goodness.
Nobody is asking you any questions yet.
That hurtful, but okay.
I did ask everybody to sign in who's watching, just so that Susan will be happy.
Great. Did they sign in?
No, well, so it says there's 4 people, but only Alex and I have signed in.
Okay.
So the other 2, other than Alex and me, you might want to sign in, if you can. And we lost somebody. Somebody left us. Max, you weren't exciting enough. That's it.
Now they know the results of the survey, they left.
They left.
Yeah, that's it. That was it.
Okay, thanks, Max.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Good job.
Very good.
Any adjustments to the agenda? Okay. Citizen comments. We'll give them a second to go onto Facebook and say something if they want to. Have you had anything?
Well, I don't see anything on here.
Okay.
Actually, while we're waiting, I do have one quick thing I could say.
Yep.
The LED streetlights are installed. Yay!
Yay!
We've got some good comments on those.
They
Some
look
people
nice.
think they're really nice.
But they're not complete though, right?
No, so,
According to your email.
right, so the only lights that aren't in yet are the ones at the Dutch Neck, Gross Neck intersection, the Route 1 235 intersection, and the Chapel Minktown Union intersection. They asked that we consider the project complete for now, just so we can get one final building in for the transition, and then we don't have to sign anything new. It's just so, because they don't want to wait 3 weeks to send us the last bill when the other towns have done, so.
We can do
Is
that.
there a
Yeah.
retention?
Seems okay.
Are we paying the full amount of the invoice, or are we keeping 10% as a retention? We're not.
Because, well, we're gonna have to still pay for those last 3 lights, but we're just
Okay.
paying
for
them as
what's
a
done.
separate
Paying for what's
We're
done.
not paying in advance for anything.
Right.
So I have a question, Max. I went out and took a ride after I told you I was going to.
Thank you.
I did. I took a ride around town. I think they're softer. What is with the light on the corner of Friendship Street and Main Street, right by the drugstore? There's one that's different than all the others.
So that one originally was a floodlight because it's an intersection.
Yeah.
And when I asked if they could convert it to one of the decoratives, they suggested not doing it because it was a floodlight, and you probably want that pretty bright.
Oh.
So they left it as one of the Cobra heads.
It shows, it's harsh looking. When you look down and it looks really nice, then there's this
I
one
agree.
harsh looking light that takes away from the pretty.
I think it's a
It has
very
those
heavily
3
used
things in it.
intersection though, too.
It is.
And I think
Yeah, but
that's,
if the concern is at night, people are gonna have their headlights on, so you know someone's waiting at that intersection. And if it's during the day, you don't need the light.
I kind of did bring this up way back before the installation began. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, we did, but we deferred to their
Judgment.
advice.
Right, well, it's once you see it, I never even noticed that was that much different, but it's considerably different now.
Yeah.
The light itself is a totally different color. It's,
Yeah, I think the concern was plowing
that's what it was.
and visibility.
Right.
Maybe if we get experience with the lights with lower lumens on the plowing, on the street there on Friendship Street, and it seems to be okay, maybe that's when to address this floodlight.
I didn't even think I had it with me.
That's just the thought, that's all.
I think there was another, for the streetlights, at least for the decoratives, there was talks of doing more than just the 12 that were initially put in.
That's right.
So when we are looking back at it again, the floodlight could be topped out for
Okay.
replacement. And actually, since you're here, the library parking lights, are they different?
They're not decorative.
Well, they're not decorative.
No, they are different,
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
because it has a
difference?
different stand. It's a different connection.
Good difference?
I can't say. The hope is that it's good difference. Yeah, it shouldn't be as bright a light, but still enough.
What kind of comments are we getting?
For the streetlights?
Right.
I haven't heard anything.
Most people
I haven't heard
know.
anything either.
Well, I thought you just said
Yeah,
that we're
must be, but
Oh.
most people aren't saying
Nobody
anything.
knows nobody's noticed
Well,
except.
it
Well,
didn't
there
happen.
aren't many people out at night, for one thing.
True.
There haven't
Yeah,
been a
that's
lot of
true.
people
I
on the
don't know.
roads.
The only reason I knew when they were installed, because I heard them putting them up. one
Well, I
night.
saw,
Yeah.
I could see them, yeah, out there. I did take a ride just to take a look and see, and there were very few cars out.
Well, people aren't out at night these
So-
days.
I thought though when the decorative, I went the night before, when the decorative lights went up, that people, because that's a real difference.
We have not gotten any comment, not even on Facebook. Nobody's even noticed, and I have not said, "Hey, they're up." I've been waiting for
Huh.
people to say,
Well, the
they're
drugs-
up.
Yeah, the drugstore should notice, because they're in business,
Yeah.
so they walk,
What does it do? Does it light the snowflake up on the corner there?
The streetlights? No, they just
Yeah.
like the streets.
they're pretty.
Yeah, well, there's still snowflake out there, isn't there?
Well, there's still snow.
No, I mean
The
up in
Christmas,
the air.
yeah, I know, the Christmas decorations,
Yes.
yes.
I mean, I think it's a bit less orange compared to
Yeah.
what we used to have, but, I mean, I think it's a good thing if people don't really
I-
notice
I
too much.
agree.
It just means it's a good job, I guess.
Yeah.
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 If they had a problem, you'd hear.
Hmm.
So good.
Okay. Did any citizen comments come in while we were having this conversation?
"No, not that I can see."
Well, they're all gonna go out, all four are gonna go out and check the
Everybody,
lights.
Yeah, they'll be on tour tonight.
We gained another viewer.
Oh,
Okay.
yay.
So, select board comments. We'll start with you, Katie.
Well,
Why don't you talk about the experience you've had the last couple of weeks?
it's still very important that we keep our distance, stay home unless you have to go out. Still very important to do that. I'm hearing that there could be more cases brought up. Now that we're trying to peak out, there could be more, people will want to go out more, thus infecting more people. And you can infect without even knowing that you're infecting them. So it is very important that that you stay home unless you have to go out, unless you have to go out. And wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance. Couple of weeks back, before any of this happened, on a big scale, I did an errand for my next door neighbor. I called him up and asked him if he needed anything at the store. I was going out. And when he was talking to me, I noticed he had a cold. And I said, "Are you sick, Carl? Are you sick?" And he says, "Well, I have a cold." I said, "Are you all right?" And he says, "Well, I've notified the doctor and they're gonna test me." That's all I heard. I went to the grocery store for him. I came back. I gave him his bag of groceries and he handed me the money. The money could be the spot where he could infect me with it. So I decided to quarantine myself for 14 days. I'm still on quarantine, but during that time, I did not come down with any symptoms. And in the meantime, he was deemed okay to go out, he's not infected anymore. If you're not, if you don't have a fever for 3 days, or if you do not have the chills for 3 days, they will deem you not infected. So they did that to him, he's been out and about, but that just goes to show you, if you take something from an infected person and you take that, that infection could be on that piece of whatever it is you're exchanging. So I'm just saying, just be very careful. Stay home if you have to, wear protective stuff if you have to go out, and just keep your distance. And hang in there. We're all frustrated over this. We all want to get out, but we have to stay put. Stay indoors. Just stay home.
Thank you. Hampton?
All I say is the commercial fishing industry in this area has been crippled. And I don't know how we're gonna recover from this. Especially if we do wind up into May and June. It's gonna be devastating for this whole area. Friendship, Waldeboro, this whole area. So,
Yeah, it's been tough.
Don't forget Clint.
Clint?
Yes, just to piggyback Katie's stuff a little bit, I see the governor's moved that date to mid-May now. You know, it's bad stuff. I mean, I'm not used to hanging around like this, and so I do the Monday morning shopping at Hannaford's. I've got that down pretty good. I've drove Laura Hatch completely insane, but I think I've got it all down. And you know, I try to get out, you know, hauling once a week, working on traps. We have no market, just like Abden said. It's kind of it's as bad as I've ever seen it, and we're all just gonna plug away. I mean, I know that's how it is, but it's pretty sad, and I just you know, it's a big thing. Everyone stay safe out there. Do the best you can. That's it, Bob.
Thank you. Jan?
Yeah.
Well, on a positive note, I was impressed with our fire department and how they have an annual Easter egg hunt for the children, and they were innovative and put their imaginations together, and they had a drive-through Easter egg hunt for the children. And they had it so that you brought your kids in your car, you drove up, told them how many kids, they had bags that had been packed. They had a little note in them, the bags had been packed in February 24th or something, so that they were safe, and it was very nice, and it made Facebook, and it made the 5 o'clock news. I saw us on the news, and I thought it was nice that they, rather than just not do anything, they figured out a way to do it and do it safely.
Peg Tynan actually came up with that idea.
Is that, well, good for her.
Yep,
Good for
it was
her.
Peg's suggestion to the chief.
Yeah?
Yep.
And he followed through on that and made lots of little children happy, so. Thank you to our fire
how
department.
many showed up to that?
Over
Yeah.
over 200.
There
Wow.
was a huge, long line of
Wow,
cars.
no
I
kidding.
mean, it was just bumper to bumper going up to where they
People
must have-
came from Rockland.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know that because my daughter's two nieces and mother-in-law came from Rockland to participate. Yeah, pretty cool.
That is cool.
Lots of good
I had 5
comments.
grandchildren there.
Sorry, Clint?
I had 5 grandchildren there.
I had a bunch of grandchildren who
Oh yeah.
partook also.
Wonderful.
That's how I got my candy.
Okay, I guess I just had a couple comments to make. The first one is just thank everybody in town for self-isolating and taking the health of their neighbors and friends into account, because this is really about us, yeah, but it's about our neighbors too. Protecting ourselves protects everybody. And it's weird about Lincoln County. I mean, it's refreshing in a way. It's wonderful about Lincoln County because for the last 7 days, we had 9 cases. A week before that, we had 8 cases, so that there has been no geometric increase in the number of cases in Lincoln County. As of yesterday, we had 10, so we've increased 1 over a week's period of time. Well,
There's another
knock
one
on
today.
wood that continues to happen. People here are responding to the self-isolation and really taking care of themselves and their neighbors, and I just hope that continues. I know it's not easy. I believe it's official now, we've moved the primary from June 9th to July 14th.
Yeah.
And I think we're planning on having our town vote on July 14th.
Yes.
At the same time. And just a note, if you're renting property, you have tenants, and the rent is due, please, have some respect for them and their situation, and let them stay, because where are they gonna go?
And the renters have to also, though, Bob, have to have some respect for their landlords.
You're right. No,
And,
it's a
and
two-way
this,
street.
it's a two-way street
It is.
because we have a lot of landlords that might be their only source of income.
Yep.
They have to have the conversation with the landlord.
They need
And
to
the
talk.
mortgage still has to be paid.
Right, and,
Mhm.
and everybody's under this misconception that I don't have to pay my landlord because his mortgage is being paid. Well, that's not what's happening. If the mortgage is guaranteed by a federal program, then yes, they may be able to, but what everybody is finding in the calls I'm making, that's not always true.
It's the private mortgage banks that are killing people, and especially, and landlords who are renting and so forth, yeah.
Yeah, so just, it works both ways. They
does.
have to have the conversation with the landlord.
Thank you for
I just-
clarifying that. No, no.
Because we're hearing that more and more, that the landlord, they're just doing these rent strikes, and the landlords have no, it's just as bad for them.
Mhm.
Especially in this town, a lot of elderly people rent to make up the difference.
That's all I have. Your report, Julie?
Well, my report is, tonight is about how incredible our staff is here. Our staff here has done just amazing things over the last couple of weeks. EMS is going out on calls. We had a major snowstorm, I would say, on Friday. We had our crews out for 36 hours. And they did the right thing. They took breaks and everything they had to do, but it was not a pleasant storm. So they did great. We are in the midst of something unprecedented, and the staff has been willing to pitch in anywhere they can. Marcus, our recreation director, is on the school buses delivering meals to the kids every day. Bill LeBombard, who is our school resource officer, is doing the same thing. Fire department is making calls along with myself and my staff in the office to every resident in town, and everybody's maintained a good attitude. And that's the biggest thing, is maintaining the good attitude. What we're finding when we're calling people is there's a lot of uncertainty. We know that. People, as afraid if they are of the virus, and I think Abden and Clint touched on this, is they are equally afraid of the economy and what's going to happen. So I think neighbor to neighbor, we have to be kind and remember that. I think Friday's storm really stressed people out, and it did. It definitely did. And it did give us a glimpse into how everybody's nerves are frazzled. So we just have to remember to be kind to each other. A little bit of kindness goes a long way. I do want to mention 2 things. If you are in need of food, or you need shopping done for you, the Lincoln County Food Initiative, it's on our Facebook page, it's on our website. We've been telling people about it. You can order from Main Street Grocery in Damariscotta, and our fire department, if you place the order, our fire department can pick it up. And we are doing everything we can. So if you do have a need, whether it's big or small, if it's help filling out your SBA loan, your help filling out your unemployment, if it's just questions you have in general, if you need something, call the office. No need is too big or too small. If we don't know how to fix it, we'll figure it out. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here for the town residents. We're here to think outside the box. We've been creative with a couple of things. So just let us know what you need. That's pretty much where we're at. We're in this together. And we're a community. And that's the one thing I have to say is the comments have been great. I think we're unique in what we're doing. And I think that our town, I think it helps tremendously. Some people just need a phone call, so that would be my other thing. If you haven't seen your neighbor in a couple of days, give them a call, make sure they're okay. And if you have any questions, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, call us. If you feel the need that somebody needs you need somebody to check on somebody, that's what we do. So call us, and we'll go check on them. That's it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. New business? Oh, sorry, consent calendar.
Make a motion to accept?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Katie moved and Jan seconded. Any discussion on the consent calendar? All in favor? Clint? Is that an A from you, Clint?
Yep.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you. New business. June warrant.
Does everybody have a copy of it?
No,
This one?
no,
Pass it
No.
down. Can you pass it
it
down?
might be in my mailbox.
It could be in your mailbox. It's okay, I have plenty of copies.
So we do have a bit more time for this. Now
We
that
do.
We've moved it back. It's nice that we're able to review it before we get going. Too far down the road. Clint, you don't have this, do you?
I do.
Oh, you do? Good.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
When I can start asking questions, I will.
You can start asking questions.
Okay, so we move so we're gonna move out to the July timeframe, right?
Correct.
Okay. So like Jan and I, normally our term would run out in June, it goes July now?
That was one of the questions I had for MMA,
Oh,
but
okay.
I
I'm
believe that yes, you will.
Okay. it's
You
just-
will stay until that election.
Okay.
And it may be the first time in history.
It probably will be. We'll be like FDR or something. I don't know.
He's still
there. Any other questions, Clint?
I'm good right now. I'm just waiting.
How many times did you proofread this?
I will be honest, I have not proofread it yet.
Has anybody?
Which one?
I want to run through the numbers just to make sure they line up with what we
Yep.
approved.
Do we have to approve this since it's
No,
being?
no,
No, we don't have to
It's-
Okay, okay.
No,
All right.
no. I
That's why I asked.
yeah, no, had I not known that we were pushing it to June, I would have proofread it, but
Okay.
what I
that's
wanted to go over basically is there any other information you want printed? Because last year, if you recall, we added what was in what, 5 part-time employees.
Didn't we add a brief description about the Shellfish Committee budget too, emphasizing that it doesn't come from
Right, yes.
taxpayer money?
Yes.
Is it not in here?
That's there, isn't it?
I thought that was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just to say that we
Yes,
pay it out
this
of our
budget is
base.
fully funded by license fees, no
Okay,
public funds are
right.
utilized.
You've got the fireworks ordinance in there,
Mm-hmm. And the shellfish
and the
ordinance.
shellfish ordinance.
Yeah.
The only thing I wanted to know is, did you guys even want to, because now would be the time, do you want to go to a 4 time a year tax payment? instead of 2. Do you think that would make any difference for people?
I think it would help.
I
the
think
town's
it
cash
would.
flow.
I think it would too. I have no problem with that.
I don't either.
Because, you know, a lot of people, their incomes at different times. And
Yep.
I think that would work.
Yep.
Do we need to, does that require, can we do that as a select board, or does that require a town vote?
I believe you can do that as a, you had me ask this last year, and I believe we could have done it had we done it on here.
On here?
Yes.
So it has to be voted on?
Yeah, I'll put in paperwork.
Yeah, it's
right?
Article 34.
Oh, it's Article 34, I got you.
So you can make it due. We have to just pick the 4 days.
So it would be November, the 15th day of November, the 15th day of February, the 15th day of May, and the 15th day of August.
Yep.
The only question I would have is, if we don't make we say we don't make the first payment, and then is interest going to accrue to the second time?
It accrues until you pay.
Yes.
Okay.
But you're not taking away the ability to belong to the tax club either, which is Article 36.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah. Okay.
So people will have an option of paying quarterly or paying monthly. Right?
Yeah.
And I think this might help in these economic times. It gives people that option.
Now, how about those whose banks pay? Will that affect
Right.
them at all?
They can do it however they want.
The bank, well, the bank
it's
would
all set
normally
up.
make quarterly, the bank would make those quarterly payments. Your escrow is determined the year before on your mortgage
Right,
payment.
right, but will the banks
The
know?
banks will then, yes.
They'll know to pay
Yes,
quarterly
because they
rather
get the
than-
bill, they get the tax bill,
Okay.
they get a copy,
There's
Yeah.
two little sheets on the bottom, you'll probably get 4 sheets.
you'll probably get 4
Right.
sheets.
4 slips, yeah.
And what will happen is typically, is those banks, then they pay. And it will probably help our cash flow tremendously, because then we're not worried, we know what's coming.
So this is gonna have to be rewrote,
Yes,
rewritten.
yes. We have time now, we have time.
Tell me something, Julie. Could we change this back to semi-payments in a following year if we wanted?
You can make them whatever you want, yes, you could train them back.
Okay. Thank you.
The thought was it might just ease the burden on some people.
I agree. Yeah.
And you guys we had talked about it right after it had went on the ballot, we had talked about it. And, it's,
Do we have to make a motion to do that?
yes.
I make that motion.
Second.
Any
What-
further discussion? This is about the quarterly tax
Doing it
payment.
quarterlies versus,
Versus
Yes.
semi-annual.
Okay, yes, yes.
Okay. And just to repeat, they would be on November 15th, February 15th, May 15th, and August 15th.
correct.
Of each year. That's the motion, and we have a second. Any further discussion? Clint?
I think it gives people, I agree with Julie, I think it gives people maybe a better opportunity, and I don't even want to say it that way, but, to pay it.
If they owe $1,000 in taxes, $250 is a lot easier than to come up with $500.
Yep.
It is,
Yep.
yeah.
We might lose a little bit on interest,
Right now,
but
it
it's
would be a
helping
good
people.
help.
Yeah, yeah.
And they might be more apt to pay it as well,
Right.
Yes, yeah,
so.
Okay. Are we ready to vote?
yeah.
All in favor? Clint?
Yep,
That's a yes?
yeah.
5-0. So we've amended that. Is there anything else we'd like to address before the next meeting when we'll want to,
Where's the fireworks one in here? What number
it's,
is that?
near the end there.
It's, number
7,
32.
It's on page 7.
Okay, so do you think the citizens have an understanding of what that is this year, whereas last year, I don't believe we did a really good job of explaining, it was a citizens' initiative at that point, and I'm not sure we explained it really well before the vote.
So do we want to add a blurb?
Well,
I thought,
I'm about equal, it's fine with me.
I thought we had gotten rid of ownership, because you can't tell somebody that you could not
We
own.
did.
That's right, we did.
It's
we
in
did.
here.
Is
It's
this
in-
in here again?
It says right here, prohibited sale,
Yeah.
ownership, and discharge. I thought we got rid of ownership.
We
This
did,
is- This isn't the actual ordinance, they've summarized it here, and they've.
but they've
just-
added a word.
But they've still added
They've
ownership.
added a word that shouldn't be in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I know it's not in the approved ordinance, it's not in there.
Okay, then that has to be fixed, so good thing we looked at it.
Yep,
Yes, because our little group made sure that that was
Yep.
going.
Yeah, so we can't sell them, we can't discharge, and we can't own them, or we can, no sale and no discharge, okay?
Mhm.
Except for the specific days. No, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Waldeboro Day, Memorial Day, Independence.
there's also an exception carved out for commercial
Right. Mhm.
displays.
Just out of curiosity, does the warrant reference the
I would get rid of, for example, Fireman's Anniversary Celebration and put Waldeboro Day.
Waldeboro is
up
already in
above.
there.
Okay.
does this
It's already
reference
in.
the draft ordinance by chance?
This refers to the ordinance being on file at the town office.
Okay.
For people who wanna actually read the whole thing. It's so short though, well, maybe it's not, it's a couple pages, I was just thinking,
No,
we,
we can't print that in
no,
the,
Yeah.
no, not on the ballot, I
No.
just think we posted it on
I
the
do
website.
think that this should say something like can we put like, are we allowed to explain what a yes vote means?
Yes,
We should put those in.
I would say yes.
Well, and if
should
we
do
don't
that.
put it, if it can't be on here, then it should be on our Facebook page and other places.
Because people was quite confused about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A yes vote prohibits the use of personal fireworks.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, the way the ordinance reads is, this ordinance does not allow the purchase, sale, or use of
Right.
consumer fireworks within the town of Waldeboro.
But that's not what it says there, so.
No, it
that's Just
And it
clarify.
allows aerial fireworks displays,
Make sure that that's the right one.
this is the right one, I'm looking at it now, this is
Send
what I
it to
gave
Jody.
Tanya.
Oh, Tanya?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
No, this
yeah,
is the
that
right
one, that needs to be correct.
The actual ordinance says
Okay.
what I've read,
okay.
Yeah,
yeah, this is
And we
the
also
warrant.
have a public hearing on this, right?
Sorry, Clint?
There's a public hearing after this?
Yes, we'll have a public hearing before,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
you have
We
to have
already-
a public hearing on this.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah, people were confused, and yet they tried to
Yeah, they
make it
were.
more stringent, and in fact, it made it more lenient.
Yeah.
So, and this is approved by the fire department.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, didn't you have to wait on something you said something at the beginning. You had to wait on something, before we approved this.
Money, something.
Clint?
Well,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I do think that as we get further into this, before we have the public hearing, we may have to review the budget
Right.
because of the revenue sharing numbers being lower. We're waiting for guidance on that from the state level. And we and if the revenue numbers drop, we may have to look at the expenses also. So I do have some ideas on that at that point in time, we can check on. And I also asked the MMA if we do have to make changes, does the budget committee have to be included in that, or in this time, or is the select board's judgment what we go by?
It would be nice to include the budget committee if we have time.
Correct.
Yeah.
But again, logistics of holding that type of a meeting, we would
Yeah.
already be in violation. If
Right.
we had a joint meeting, we'd be violating the number,
Right.
you
That's
know.
right, no, like.
We have 6
absolutely.
people here tonight, and that's,
And we'd have 9 more with the
Right.
budget committee. We couldn't do it.
right. I just wanna know if we have to have them, or could we send it to them individually, they could comment, so.
Yep. Question.
I just wanted to make that clarified.
Yep.
So is there a motion to table this for further discussion at our next, our next meeting this month?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
But is there any other things that you want me to work on in the meantime?
Well, we need to double check the numbers to make sure that.
Well,
I know you'll do that.
yeah, that goes without saying,
Yeah.
but like any other wording you want in here?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
And especially where we're breaking it down.
Okay,
I guess I do have one question about the animal control situation.
What page? Or what article?
14. I was looking at that. Have we made a decision on what we're gonna do with that? Do we just put it in here as,
County doesn't,
it doesn't necessarily mean it goes to the county, correct?
I mean, no, because we haven't signed the new contract.
It's just. for
But
animal
it's,
control.
but that money can go in, and it just doesn't mean we allocate it to the
Correct.
county. Okay, all right.
So is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was other options made, potentially, so.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna continue this discussion at the
Yeah,
next,
we'll,
okay.
we've had a motion and a second to table this till the next meeting to further the discussion on it. Any further comments on that? All in favor of that motion?
aye.
Yep.
That's an aye from Clint, okay, 5-0. And the last item on the agenda, other than old business and agenda for the next meeting, is the payment of county taxes.
So if you recall, we had a letter at the last meeting for county
Yeah.
taxes. We thought, well, okay, I talked to Peg, and okay, it might be okay to take it as is because we're used to it. But with the economy the way it is, we might want to consider 6 payments, so I would recommend we do that. If that's okay with you
I
guys.
agree. The more we can stretch it out, the better.
Okay. And
You
that's,
need a motion on that, Bob?
yes.
I would move that.
Good.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thanks, Clint.
And the only other thing I just wanted to add is there are, I keep getting these updates of what we are available, what funding is available. I just want you to know, anything that we can get through the federal government, we're gonna try to get it. I mean, we're documenting everything, but if we do have to come up with something, we should. And the other thing I'm exploring is how to, since the bond rates are so low, if there's any way to reduce our interest rate on any of our outstanding debt. So, that's my other big,
As in like the water company, what about the water company and stuff like that?
I've talked to them about the water company debt, I've talked, because, I mean, basically, we don't have that much debt.
We don't.
We really don't, but it doesn't matter, if we can get a lower interest rate, we should try, no matter what. And the water company interest rate, which I think is pretty low anyway, because there was USDA funds used for that, but I just want to make sure the financial picture, and I did ask for an update on the trust funds, on the investment fund, because I think we need to understand that. So I'll have a report for you at the next meeting on that.
There is no old business. And the next agenda for the next meeting, I know we'll talk about the warrant articles. Is there anything else that,
Holding off the number 2 tax payments.
let's hold off on that.
We're holding off on
discussion.
any of
You're not gonna
those.
do that
Under
at the next
advice from
meeting?
our assessor. Or,
We're-
sorry, our tax.
We're gonna have more advice from our tax collector.
Yeah.
So, okay, so just, okay.
And of course, any new things that come up. through-
And anything
through the
new that
state.
comes up.
Well, things that keep changing
Right.
daily, and so we,
Yeah.
we have some
They
new
will.
things here, and
things are changing daily.
Keep ourselves
We're
updated.
staying, and I just want to say one more thing. Everybody needs to have and look at credible information. That's the biggest thing. I put that out on Facebook. Please go to .gov places for your information.
Yeah.
Well, and
don't-
even sometimes that's questionable depending what you're watching, but
Right.
please, please,
I don't want to be a-
please go to the CDC website if you have questions, Maine CDC, federal CDC, and do not, one more thing, because we've already got questions. The IRS is not going to call you and ask you for your bank account numbers or your social security for the stimulus check. The IRS is not going to call you. Don't answer any questions.
2 o'clock every day is the update from the Maine
Yep.
CDC and occasionally from the governor. She's-
And
That's
if
usually
you
once a week.
subscribe to Bangor Daily News, some people do, you can get it free
Yep.
on their website. They publish all of the CDC information for free on their website in the articles they write.
And Maine
Comes
Public,
out on, yeah,
and Maine
And
Public,
Maine Public too.
does the same thing.
Yep.
the maps and the
Everything's
stats
done.
and it's
Everybody stay safe. Bye.
Bye.